In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to install HAAS Stainless REVO through-post tensioners and wood post. We post a ton of really helpful cable railing tutorials and pro tips here on our YouTube channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. To start off, grab your marking template and then mark your posts on each side for the holes that you're going to be drilling. When drilling your posts for through-post cable railing fittings, we found that the best method is to drill halfway from one side of the post and then halfway from the other, so that the two holes will conjoin in the middle. The reason for this is so that the bit won't splinter as it comes out the back side of the post. With our holes now marked, grab your drill and 3/8 inch spade bit and be sure to set your drill to its highest speed setting. Align the tip of the drill bit with the mark that you have on your post and try and get the drill bit as straight and level in relation to the post as you can. Then start drilling until your hole depth is about halfway through the post. Go ahead and repeat this process for all of the remaining marks on that side of the post. Now switch to the other side of the post and repeat this entire process until all of your holes are going to match up. When you're done drilling, be sure to clear out any sawdust that may be left in your holes from drilling. So at this point, all of your cables should be held in place at the other end of your run by your end stops, and also your cables should be run through any of the intermediate posts that you might have in your run. Now, if you haven't installed your end stops yet, then be sure to check out some of the other tutorials that we have on our channel for HAAS Stainless REVO through-post and lag end stops. So your REVO through-post tensioner is going to be composed of 4 different parts. First, you have your Suede stud, which is actually going to attach to the end of your cable. Next, you have your centering bushing, which is going to slide into the mounting hole on the back side of your post, and it's what the threaded stud is going to go through. Then you have your 1/4-20 hex nut, which is going to thread onto your stud and up against the bushing. It's going to be the mechanism that actually draws your cable tight. And then lastly, you have your end cap, which is going to thread onto the bushing and give you a really clean and finished off look once you're done installing it. Next, you'll want to trim the cable to the correct length for your tensioning fitting. Feed it through the appropriate hole in your post, and then pull it hand tight from the back side of the post so that there is no slack in the cable. Mark the cable where it's entering into the post and then release tension from the cable. Grab a Suede stud and then use it to measure your cut mark. Align the opening of the stud with the first mark that you made on your cable, and then mark the cable at the second indentation line on the stud. Using a cable cutter, trim the cable at the second mark. Repeat this entire measuring and cutting process so that all of the cables for the run have been trimmed to the correct length. Now that all of your cables are cut, you're ready to attach your Suede studs. If you're using wood post protectors for your system like we are today, slide on your wood post protectors and make sure that they are oriented in the right direction. Then insert the end of your cable into the Suede cavity of your stud. The Suede area is from the opening of the Suede cavity to the first indentation line that you see here. Once your stud is properly aligned in the die, close the handles of the Sueder to make your first swage. Then slightly open the handles, rotate the stud about 90 degrees, and then make your second and final swage on the stud. Insert the stud through your post and then slide on the centering bushing over the stud and into the mounting hole on the back side of the post. Now thread your hex nut onto the stud until it's hand tight. Repeat the same process for all of the remaining cables for the run. So now that you've got all of your REVO through-post tensioners installed and they're all hand tightened, the next step is going to be to actually complete tensioning for the run. Now whenever you do this, you're going to want to make sure that you're following the sequence that you see here. Now what that sequence is going to have you do is you're going to start with your middle cable. Once that's tensioned, you're going to move to the one directly above it and then directly below it. But then you're going to continue on with that sequence, alternating between top and bottom, working your way out until all of those cables are all completely tensioned and they're all equally tensioned. Now it is important to kind of remember that whenever you're doing this, one or two cables may not be all perfectly tensioned up with all of the other cables on the run. So no big deal, just go back, retension up those cables, and just make sure that all of your cables are equally tensioned before you get ready to cut off your studs with your grinder. So whenever you go to start tensioning your cables, you're going to need a 7/16 ratcheting wrench and a pair of vice grips. What you're going to do is you're going to slide this wrench onto the hex nut on your stud, and then very important that you take your vice grip and you're going to actually clamp on to the stud itself. This is very, very important because if you do not clamp onto the stud whenever you're tensioning up your cable, the cable is going to twist, and whenever it twists, it's going to have memory to it. Now the cable may appear tensioned, but what's going to end up happening is that over time, that cable is going to want to twist itself back and your cables are going to come loose or less tensioned up. So make sure that you have this vice grip very firm on the stud. You're going to start with your wrench in the 12 o'clock position, and then you're going to just count the number of rotations that you do. This would be 1, you're going to go back up, and we're going to do 2. Now we're only going to do 2 for this frame because it's so small, but for you at home you may vary between 5 half rotations, 6 or 7. It just depends on the distance and the length of your run. But most importantly, you want to make sure that you're just counting your half rotations, and then whenever you go to tension up the remaining studs on the run, you want to make sure that you're following that same number of half rotations, and this is going to ensure that all the cables are nice and equally tensioned up for the run. Once you've got all of your cables at equal tension, throw on a pair of safety glasses and then use an angle grinder to cut off the excess threads of the stud so that the threads are flush with the top of the hex nut. Lastly, grab your end caps and thread those on to each of your bushings. If you feel like the REVO system is right for you, then make sure to check out some of the other REVO component installation videos that we have here on our channel. If you have any questions about through-post tensioners, then drop us a comment below, and if you found today's video helpful, then give it a like. I'm Tyler with HAAS Stainless. Thanks for watching.